The announcement that shook the nation. No trumpets, no grand ceremony, no sweeping orchestral score to mark the occasion. Just a simple, almost understated statement that seemed to slip quietly into the public domain. And yet, within minutes, it was everywhere. For a monarchy that has for centuries wrapped every decision in gold-threaded rituals and centuries-old traditions, this blunt, stripped-down approach was almost unsettling. It felt too sudden, too bare, too final. There was no balcony appearance, no carefully staged photograph with the entire royal family gathered in a united front. Instead, there were only a few lines, but those lines carried the weight of 1,000 royal decrees. Some say King Charles wanted to handle the matter quietly, avoiding the blinding glare of cameras and the endless scrutiny of the press. To them, this was an act of dignity, perhaps even mercy, a decision delivered with minimal spectacle to avoid public humiliation. But others aren't so sure. They believe this was the spectacle, that the silence was the statement, a deliberate, calculated move to seize control of the narrative before anyone else could. In this telling, the quiet wasn't kindness, it was power. By giving no warning, no carefully prepared buildup, Charles ensured that the reaction was pure and unfiltered. The words were clear, and there was no mistaking their meaning. Catherine would take on a new role, one that pushed Camilla out of the spotlight and perhaps out of influence altogether. It wasn't framed as a dismissal, but the implications were unmistakable. Those closest to the crown must have felt the tremors first. Advisors, private secretaries, the trusted few who know more than they will ever admit. Did they nod in silent approval? Or did they exchange uneasy glances, wondering what this shift might unleash? And what about those who were left in the dark until the very moment the statement became public? Imagine being inside the palace walls, hearing the words for the first time, not in a meeting or a private conversation, but on a breaking news alert, the same way the rest of the world did. If this move was planned for weeks, maybe months, then the secrecy was absolute. If it wasn't, then the speed of its execution was almost alarming. Either way, the announcement marked a turning point because in the monarchy, there are two kinds of decisions. The ones that are meant to preserve the image and the ones that are meant to change it entirely. This, it seemed, was the latter. And in the space between those carefully chosen words and the roaring public reaction, a single question echoed. If this was the moment the game changed, who had been playing all along? The whispers behind closed doors. Royal watchers have always been quick to notice even the smallest shifts in tone or body language during public appearances. And when it comes to Queen Camilla and Catherine, Princess of Wales, they've been watching closely for years. On camera, the two women have shared polite smiles, exchanged pleasant words, and walked side by side at official engagements. To the untrained eye, it all looked perfectly harmonious. But palace insiders, the ones who see the moments before the cameras roll and after the crowds have gone, paint a different picture. Catherine Middleton, Princess of Wales, has been open about the importance of family in her life, revealing that spending quality time with her loved ones is something she doesn't take for granted. They say the relationship, while outwardly cordial, has always carried an undercurrent of quiet tension, not open hostility, not outright conflict, just a certain coolness. According to those who've been close enough to witness the unguarded moments, there were occasions when the balance of respect seemed to waver. A hand placed on a chair a little too quickly, a conversation cut short, an expression that didn't match the words being spoken. Small, almost imperceptible signals. And then there were the disagreements, subtle but real. They weren't the kind of arguments you'd expect in a political thriller, but in the palace, even the tiniest of disputes can carry outsized weight. The choice of a charity to highlight during an event, the seating arrangement at a formal dinner, the decision to invite or not invite certain figures to a reception. To outsiders, These matters might seem trivial, hardly worth noting, but within the monarchy, every decision is steeped in symbolism. Every guest list tells a story. Every seating plan reflects hierarchy. Every outfit choice sends a message, sometimes deliberate, sometimes accidental, but always interpreted by someone. Some courtiers quietly speculated that these small disagreements were less about the specifics and more about what they represented. Two women with different visions of how the monarchy should present itself. Catherine, with her modern yet traditional approach, leans toward accessibility and relatable public moments. Camilla, with her more old-world style, prefers the measured pace and formality of the monarchy she married into. Could such differences have snowballed into something larger? Or were they merely surface ripples masking deeper currents? Another possibility has been whispered in corridors far from the public eye, that King Charles's decision had less to do with personal feelings and more to do with strategy. A monarch is not just a figurehead, he is a strategist, always thinking years ahead. Perhaps Charles saw in Catherine not just a popular royal, but a stabilizing force for the monarchy's future. After the couple made it official and got engaged, Charles was said to welcome Kate into the royal family with open arms. And she said he was very, very welcoming and very friendly toward her, adding that it couldn't have gone easier. Someone who could carry the crown into a new era with a balance of grace, relatability, and respect for tradition. If that's the case, then Camilla's position may have been vulnerable from the start. Not because she lacked the king's affection, but because she lacked the universal approval that Catherine enjoys. Public perception, after all, is the lifeblood of a modern monarchy, and Catherine's public approval rating has long overshadowed Camilla's. But here's the thing about palace whispers. They are rarely straightforward. Some say there was a specific moment, a private conversation perhaps, or a decision made without consultation that tipped the scales. Others believe it was an accumulation of years, a slow build toward an inevitable change. Whatever the truth, those who move in royal circles know this much. Relationships inside the palace are never just personal. They are political. Every friendship, every rivalry, every shared glance across a state banquet table is woven into the complex tapestry of influence and power. And when that balance shifts even slightly, the consequences can be seismic. Some insiders claim that in the weeks before the official announcement, the atmosphere inside certain palace offices was noticeably different. Conversations became more guarded. Meetings were shorter. Smiles were polite but not warm. It was as though everyone knew something was coming, but no one dared say it aloud. By the time the statement about Catherine's new role was made public, perhaps only a handful of people were truly surprised. For the rest, it was simply the moment when private whispers became public truth. The question now is whether those whispers have fully died down or whether they're still echoing in the marble halls, carrying secrets that the rest of us may never hear. The public's reaction, a divided nation. The moment the news broke, it was as if the internet itself took a deep breath and then exhaled in a storm. Within minutes, headlines blazed across news sites, push notifications pinged on phones, and social media timelines flooded with opinions. It was more than a trending topic. It was the conversation. For many, Catherine's elevation was nothing short of a triumph. To them, she was the perfect image of a modern queen, elegant without arrogance, approachable without losing her regal grace. They remembered the years she had spent building her public role with quiet consistency. Every smile, every carefully chosen outfit, every visit to a children's hospital or charity gala had, in their eyes, built her into the ideal successor. Her name trended alongside words like hope, future, and grace. Kate Middleton made an appearance to open the redeveloped Children's Center at the hospital, and she was greeted by fans outside. One little girl gave her 2 stuffed bears, but the applause was not universal. For every message praising Catherine's new title, there was another expressing discomfort. even outrage. This other side of the debate wondered aloud if Camilla had been treated unfairly. After all, she had weathered decades of public criticism, survived the difficult early years of her marriage to Charles in the public eye, and eventually claimed her place beside the king. For her to be so abruptly sidelined left some feeling uneasy. Was this a palace coup disguised as a smooth transition? As the debate erupted, Queen Catherine battling with justice for Camilla, the nation found itself split into camps. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds. Longtime royal supporters clashed with those who saw the monarchy as outdated altogether. The debate didn't just stay online. It spilled into workplaces, cafes, and dinner tables. Everyone seemed to have an opinion, and few were willing to keep it to themselves. News programs hosted heated panels of historians, royal correspondents, and PR experts, each offering their take on what the change meant. Was it a savvy move to modernize the crown and appeal to younger generations? Or was it an unceremonious push against a queen who had, whether loved or not, played her role without scandal since the day she took it? What became clear is that this wasn't an ordinary royal reshuffle. In the past, changes to the line of succession or shifts in titles had been planned and explained well in advance. This time, the abruptness itself was part of the shock. It felt sudden, almost impulsive, and that made people suspicious. In the court of public opinion, loyalty can shift in a heartbeat. A single photograph, a single rumor, or a single public appearance can change the mood entirely. Royal history is littered with examples of how quickly affection can turn to disapproval. The same people hailing Catherine today could, in theory, be questioning her tomorrow if the narrative shifted. And yet, there was also an undeniable energy in the air. The sense that something historic had just happened and that the monarchy was stepping into uncharted territory. For Catherine's supporters, this was the beginning of a new golden age. For Camilla's defenders, it was a deeply unsettling reminder of how fragile a royal position can be. As the debate raged on, one thing became certain. This was no quiet adjustment of titles. It was a lightning strike in the heart of royal tradition, and the echoes of its impact were only beginning to be felt. Catherine's rise, years in the making. Some will call this sudden, but in truth, Catherine's rise has been years in the making. Every handshake with a hospital nurse, every conversation with a struggling parent, every quiet visit to a shelter without cameras. These moments stacked up like building blocks in a palace wall. Each one was a calculated but genuine step towards something greater. Every charity visit, every public engagement, every carefully chosen outfit, all pieces of a long game that positioned her not just as a princess, but as a queen in waiting. From the moment she entered the royal circle, Catherine seemed to understand that her role would never just be about attending glittering banquets or smiling from palace balconies. But for Kate's seemingly improving health, that was soured a bit in the eyes of some as the royal family stepped out onto the balcony to watch military aircraft performing flyover maneuvers. She recognized early on that public perception was the lifeblood of the monarchy. She learned the names of people she met, remembered their stories, and carried those side stories into her speeches. It wasn't just about waving to crowds. It was about connecting with them. Her wardrobe, often discussed in newspapers and fashion blogs, became a subtle form of diplomacy, choosing local designers to highlight British talent, re-wearing outfits to show humility, and avoiding anything that screamed excess. These choices were as deliberate as they were symbolic. They sent the message that she was in touch with the times, aware of the world beyond palace gates. Behind the scenes, Catherine worked on causes that didn't always make front-page news, but carried deep social importance: early childhood development, mental health awareness, and support for military families. Her initiatives were not mere photo opportunities. She stayed with them for years, allowing the work to grow roots instead of vanishing after a single headline. In the family, too, she played the long game. She was never one to chase controversy or overshadow senior royals. Her approach was patience over provocation, building alliances quietly, earning respect from even the most skeptical members of the institution. Over time, the image formed, Catherine as dependable, discreet, and entirely loyal to both crown and country. It wasn't just about charm or popularity, it was about trust. Trust from the people who saw her as one of them, despite the tiara. Trust from the family who knew she would not act recklessly or invite scandal. And now, trust from the king himself, the most powerful endorsement she could receive. Her journey proves that in the world of royalty, power rarely comes overnight. It's not seized. It's earned brick by brick over years of consistency and quiet strength. Catherine's ascension might seem swift to the untrained eye, but those who have watched closely know this moment was inevitable. The road ahead for the monarchy. With Catherine stepping into a more prominent role, the monarchy stands at a crossroads unlike any it has faced in decades. On one side lies the promise of renewal, a chance to present a younger, more relatable face to the world. Catherine's grace, empathy, and unshakable composure have already earned her admiration from millions, not just in Britain, but across the globe. Her presence could breathe new life into an institution often seen as distant, connecting it with a generation that values authenticity over ceremony. But with every opportunity comes risk. This shift in visibility could also expose new cracks in a foundation that has for years been under intense scrutiny. The royal family's traditions have kept it standing through centuries of change, acting as the crown's strongest shield. Yet those same traditions can act like its heaviest chain, limiting how far it can adapt without losing the essence of what makes it royal. Catherine now finds herself in the delicate position of balancing both, upholding centuries-old customs while making them feel relevant in a world that moves at the speed of social media. The challenges ahead will not be small. Every word she speaks, every gesture she makes, will be dissected by both supporters and critics. Her role is no longer just ceremonial. It is deeply political in its symbolism. She will be the bridge between past and present, between the stiff formality of the crown and the increasingly informal, transparent expectations of modern society. One wrong step could spark controversy. One right step could redefine the monarchy's future. This is not a role Catherine actively sought dramatically, but it is one she has been quietly preparing for over the years. Her steady, measured approach to public life may prove to be her greatest asset. Still, the question remains, will she be allowed the space to shape this role on her terms? Or will the weight of tradition dictate her every move? As the monarchy moves forward, its survival will depend on how successfully it can navigate this transition. If Catherine can blend tradition with modernity without alienating either side, she could help ensure the crown's relevance for another century. But if the institution resists change too strongly, the cracks in its image may deepen, and public trust, once lost, will be hard to win back. For now, when the world watches closely, Catherine stands at the center of a defining moment, one that could either strengthen the monarchy's place in the modern era or hasten the calls for it to change beyond recognition. And whether she likes it or not, the crown's future may rest largely in her hands. In the end, this isn't just a story about titles or ceremonies. It's about power. It's about perception. And it's about the way one decision can send ripples through centuries of tradition. Queen Camilla's dethroning marks a turning point, one that historians will one day study and that we are watching unfold in real time. Catherine's reign, in whatever form it takes, will shape the monarchy for a generation. But here's the truth, the palace is a place of secrets, and for every announcement we hear, there are a dozen untold stories behind it. This may be the start of one of the most dramatic chapters in modern royal history, but it's far from the end. If you found yourself captivated by this royal twist, make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Catherine's rise will unite the monarchy, or will it spark new divisions? Because in the royal family, Camilla tried to convince Catherine to wear a tiara to maintain the image of the monarchy. What she didn't expect, though, was for Catherine to choose the Cartier Halo tiara, one so deeply tied to Queen Elizabeth's legacy. It felt like a personal blow to Camilla. The tiara belonged to Queen Elizabeth, and Camilla had always wished to own one like it. Adding to that, Catherine and Prince William broke tradition by getting married at Westminster Abbey instead of St. Paul's Cathedral. The moment this crowd in front of Westminster Abbey had been waiting for, some of them for several days. While Camilla saw Catherine's choices as a challenge to her, the young princess was simply living her own life. Camilla's path to the throne. Looking at Catherine's jewelry collection, it's clear her choice to wear that tiara wasn't meant to upset anyone or send any hidden message to Queen Camilla. Let's take a closer look at Catherine's jewelry and Camilla's story. Camilla was born on July 17, 1947, at King's College Hospital in London. She grew up in East Sussex and South Kensington. Her path to royalty began in the early 1970s when she met Prince Charles. At that time, Camilla had recently divorced her first husband, Andrew Parker Bowles. Andrew was the one who demanded a divorce. Meanwhile, Camilla and Andrew attempted to downplay their affairs in public. In January 1995, the couple announced their divorce. While healing from her failed marriage, she crossed paths with Charles. According to author Giles Brandreth, the two met at the home of a mutual friend, Lucia Santa Cruz. They quickly fell for each other and began a romantic relationship. Things became serious, and they even introduced each other to their families. But the relationship came to an end when Charles left to serve in the Royal Navy. Some believe their breakup happened because the royal family didn't approve of Camilla. Royal historian Robert Lacey wrote that Charles and Camilla met too early in life. In his book about Queen Elizabeth II, he explained that Charles didn't ask Camilla to wait for him while he was away, which may have contributed to the breakup. At first, this story seemed believable until author Sarah Bradford shared royal secrets in her book Diana. She revealed that Lord Mountbatten, a senior royal figure, played a big role in their separation. He reportedly didn't like Camilla and arranged for Charles to go overseas so he could push him to marry someone else, his friend's granddaughter, Amanda Knatchbull. Charles and Camilla never publicly explained the reasons for their initial breakup, but both eventually married other people. Years later, rumors surfaced that they had rekindled their romance. However, this came at a difficult time, as Charles was still married to Princess Diana, and their marriage was falling apart. After Charles and Diana divorced, he resumed his relationship with Camilla, leading to her being labeled as the other woman. Camilla faced significant public backlash, especially after Diana's tragic death in a car crash. She was witness to one of the great tragedies of the 20th century, just feet from the crash that killed Princess Diana. But despite the criticism, Charles ultimately married Camilla. Charles and Camilla got married in 2005 at the Windsor Guildhall. But her entry into the royal family wasn't welcomed with open arms. Many people disapproved of her, and she faced a lot of judgment and resentment. Most felt she didn't deserve to be part of the royal family, especially as queen. Even Queen Elizabeth was against the idea at first. She didn't support Charles marrying Camilla. So, for years, Camilla held the title of Duchess of Cornwall. Everything changed when Queen Elizabeth passed away on September 8, 2022, and Charles became king. Camilla then became the queen consort on May 6, 2023. Camilla had to work hard to gain public support. She needed to prove she was fit to be queen. After Princess Diana's tragic death, King Charles was careful about how the public viewed Camilla. He wanted people to see her in a positive light. In his first speech as king, Charles openly praised Camilla. He spoke about her loyalty and dedication to royal duties. He thanked her for her support over the years and highlighted her service to the monarchy. To reshape her role and show she meant business, Camilla introduced a new position, Queen's Companion, replacing the traditional lady-in-waiting. These companions would assist her during official events. While she handled letters and other daily tasks herself, it was a statement that she was not just a figurehead, but a working queen. Camilla also began appearing more in public, standing beside King Charles. Slowly, people started to warm up to her. Her involvement in charitable work especially helped change public opinion. Reports say Camilla now supports over 100 charities and groups. One cause close to her heart is osteoporosis. After losing her grandmother to the disease, Camilla became passionate about spreading awareness and supporting women who suffer from it. She joined the National Osteoporosis Society and played a big role in educating others about the illness. Camilla has been an advocate of the Royal Osteoporosis Society, raising awareness for the risks related to osteoporosis. Her efforts didn't go unnoticed. She was honored with the Ethel Lafrac Award in 2005 and, 2 years later, in 2007, she received the Constance Foundation Award for her continued advocacy. Camilla was also honored with a special award, an honorary doctorate from the University of Southampton. They recognized her for her hard work and commitment to the Royal Osteoporosis Society. In 2019, the organization changed its name from the National Osteoporosis Society to the Royal Osteoporosis Society, a move that reflected Camilla's royal support. Queen Camilla gained recognition for advocating for emotionally hurt and abused individuals, supporting charities for young girls, and improving her public image. However, her reputation faced a challenge when Princess Catherine's popularity began to rise. Catherine, alongside Prince William, became one of the most loved royals, with Catherine ranking as the second most popular royal in December 2022, according to YouGov. But by April 2024, both YouGov and Ipsos polls revealed something even more surprising. Catherine had become the most loved member of the royal family. She also topped Google search charts as the most searched person in the UK. What made this even more shocking was that her popularity had surpassed that of Queen Camilla. Catherine Elizabeth Middleton was born on January 9, 1982, at the Royal Berkshire Hospital in Reading. Unlike many royals, she didn't grow up in a life of luxury. She came from an upper-middle-class family. Her father, Michael Middleton, worked as a flight dispatcher, while her mother was a flight attendant. Catherine had a strong love for art, which led her to study art history at the University of St. Andrews. It was there that she first met Prince William. Their first meeting happened during a charity fashion show. On that day, Catherine appeared on stage wearing a see-through lace dress that immediately caught William's attention, though neither of them knew how much that moment would change their lives. Both William and Catherine were students living at St. Salvator's Hall at the University of St. Andrews. Their friendship soon turned into love, and by 2003 they started dating. They kept their relationship out of the spotlight. After losing his mother, Princess Diana, in a tragic accident caused by paparazzi chasing Jamaswan, William disliked media attention and valued his privacy deeply. During their second year at university, they shared a flat with two friends. Their bond continued to grow stronger. Just when everything seemed perfect, the couple went through a rough patch and broke up. The news saddened fans everywhere who were rooting for them, and even today, the reason behind their split remains a mystery. But thankfully, it didn't last long. They got back together soon after. During their brief separation, Catherine became the target of the press. After graduating, both she and her family were under intense media pressure, but they remained silent and gave nothing away. In 2010, William proposed to Catherine while they were staying at a remote cabin on Mount Kenya. The engagement ring he gave her belonged to his late mother, Princess Diana. The announcement of their engagement went public, and while many people were thrilled, not everyone was happy. Queen Camilla reportedly advised William not to marry Catherine. She believed Catherine wasn't the right choice for him and that her background didn't match royal standards. Still, William stood by Catherine and moved ahead with their wedding. On April 29, 2011, the couple got married at Westminster Abbey. The public had high hopes for Catherine and wondered what kind of princess she would be. No one expected that she would grow to become one of the most beloved royals. Since joining the royal family, Princess Catherine has demonstrated a strong commitment to charity work, particularly in supporting children, the arts, and mental health. Her early efforts included attending a UNICEF book launch and visiting Naomi House Hospice to support children. After her wedding, Catherine and Prince William created a gift fund for charitable donations instead of asking for presents, which further endeared her to the public. This initiative supported 26 charities, including those focused on the armed forces, children, sports, and the arts, highlighting Catherine's genuine care for others. Because of Catherine's dedication and involvement, the foundation was later renamed the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales. But Catherine didn't stop there. She continued to help underprivileged children through art therapy. Since she had studied art history, it came naturally for her to connect with kids who loved art. Catherine also became a volunteer with the Scout Association in North Wales. While working with the Scouts, she grew close to Queen Elizabeth, who was their patron. Her constant work for different causes earned her the nickname the Kate Effect. In October 2012, she started helping people struggling with drug and alcohol addiction. She made several visits to recovery centers and spent time talking with the people there. Kate Middleton, a patron for Action on Addiction, a charity center for addiction studies, made a visit there to join the trained workforce. After gaining some experience and understanding of their struggles, she launched the Impact Program. This program was aimed at educating families about the risks of substance abuse. It became very successful and helped many people. Later, in June 2021, Catherine was named the patron of the Forward Trust after it joined with Action on Addiction. She also went above and beyond in January 2018 when she donated her own hair to a charity called the Little Princess Trust. This organization makes wigs for children who have lost their hair due to cancer treatment. Her commitment to health didn't stop there. She also helped launch Nursing Now, a global campaign that ran for 3 years to raise awareness about the important work nurses do. Catherine's grandmother and great-grandmother were both nurses, so she had seen firsthand the challenges they faced during the COVID-19 pandemic. Catherine made it a point to support healthcare workers in both physical visits and virtual meetings. It was her way of showing that the royal family stood with the people during hard times. She has also focused on mental health. Catherine was spotted visiting St. Thomas's Hospital and the Maudsley Hospital's Clinical Neuroscience Institute, where she spent time with mothers and children dealing with mental health challenges. Catherine's efforts toward mental health were praised by Benita Refson, who said that Catherine always focused on child mental health and did everything she could to help. Peter Fonagy, the CEO of the Anna Freud Center, also spoke highly of Catherine, saying that for millions of children suffering in silence, she was their voice. He even called her one of the most important figures in the field. In recognition of her work, the Prince and Princess were awarded the prestigious Gold Blue Peter Badge, which had also been given to Queen Elizabeth, Catherine's charitable legacy. In 2016, the Prince and Princess launched a mental health campaign called Heads Together. This campaign aimed to encourage people to talk about their mental health struggles. It was a surprise to everyone when Catherine shared some of her own personal challenges. She talked about the struggles of being a mother, admitting to feeling mom guilt and the difficulty of balancing her work and raising children. She revealed that having her first child had been scary, and at times she felt a lack of confidence and doubt about whether she was doing things right. When Catherine opened up about her struggles, it inspired many others to share their own experiences. Her empathy and understanding were evident during the campaign, and people began to see her as the people's princess. Camilla, many said, described her as the monarchy's greatest asset, while Petronella Wyatt referred to her as the jewel in the crown. What made Catherine stand out was her ability to maintain traditional royal values while also introducing a modern touch. When asked if Catherine did her charity work for public approval, her aides made it clear that the princess never followed advice for PR purposes. She would never do something just for the media. Her former secretary, Jamie Lowther Pinkerton, shared that Catherine was very much like the Queen Mother, avoiding drama and anything that might make her the center of attention. Public perception of Catherine, a modern princess. Despite her efforts to keep her life private, the media wouldn't leave her alone. They wanted to know everything about the most loved princess. Things went smoothly for Catherine until the public began comparing her to Princess Diana, and that marked the start of her rivalry with Queen Camilla. Rumors of a feud between Princess Catherine and Queen Camilla began to circulate. Although both royals tried to maintain a picture of harmony in their public appearances, it became clear there was tension beneath the surface. It was clear that there was tension between Princess Catherine and Queen Camilla. Many people speculated about the reasons behind their strained relationship. One possible reason is that Catherine is often seen as a replica of Princess Diana, which made things difficult for Camilla. Like Diana, Catherine is deeply involved in charity work, and before Diana's tragic death, she was loved and respected by the people. She was seen as the people's princess, someone who truly cared about them. When Camilla married Charles, she faced harsh criticism from the public. People didn't initially accept her, and she struggled with her image, especially as Catherine entered the royal family. The public started comparing Catherine to Diana, which reminded Camilla of her own past as the other woman. This comparison reopened old wounds and made her relationship with Catherine even more difficult. Things became more strained when Catherine was seen wearing Diana's jewelry as a tribute. Camilla did not like this, as it reminded her of the past and her struggles with public perception. The rivalry deepened when Queen Elizabeth began to show a lot of affection for Catherine after she married William. Unlike Camilla, who had to prove herself worthy of the Queen's approval, Catherine was naturally loved by the public and the royal family. It hurt Camilla when Catherine was given the title of Princess of Wales. The rivalry deepens, Camilla versus Catherine. There were rumors that William and Catherine might change Camilla's role when they eventually take the throne, possibly pushing her out of the spotlight. This worried Camilla, and she worked hard to remind Catherine that she was still in charge. For instance, Camilla once asked Catherine's parents to enter Buckingham Palace through the servants' door to show her authority. Despite Catherine trying to reach out to Camilla, she was met with rejection. Camilla made it clear that she wasn't ready to embrace Catherine or guide her through royal duties. Their relationship worsened when Camilla grew frustrated with Catherine's jewelry choices, particularly when Catherine wore Queen Elizabeth's tiara. The tiara was special, and seeing it on Catherine made Camilla uncomfortable. Catherine's jewelry collection often featured tiaras, earrings, and other pieces passed down through generations of queens. One notable piece in her collection is the Greville diamond chandelier earrings, which she received from the royal collection. The Greville diamond chandelier earrings worn by Princess Catherine have an interesting history. In 1942, Queen Elizabeth received the earrings as a gift from her friend Dame Margaret Greville. Rumors say that the Queen's jewelry collection was filled with diamonds thanks to Margaret's generosity. The earrings were created by the famous jeweler Cartier. It took him over a decade to complete the masterpiece, starting in 1918 and finishing in 1929. The earrings feature a variety of modern diamond cuts, including pendants, baguettes, emeralds, and square cuts. These earrings became one of the Queen's most treasured pieces of jewelry. Princess Catherine chose to wear these earrings at the wedding of Crown Prince Hussein of Jordan and Princess Rajwa Al Saif. She also wore them at a diplomatic corps reception at Buckingham Palace, which was the last time she publicly wore them. Another piece of jewelry from the Queen's collection that Catherine has worn is a pair of diamond and pearl leaf earrings. These earrings were worn by Queen Elizabeth during her visit to Nigeria in 2003. After the Queen passed away, Catherine wore them on Remembrance Sunday as a tribute to the Queen. She was seen greeting Commonwealth troops arriving for the state funeral of the late monarch. For the funeral service, Catherine also wore a brooch that belonged to the Queen. Another notable piece in Catherine's collection is the three-strand pearl necklace, which belonged to Queen Elizabeth. The Queen was rarely seen without this necklace, which was very dear to her. Before her passing, the Queen had 3 identical pearl necklaces made so she could wear one at a time. The necklace had sentimental value because it was a gift from her father when she was a young girl. After his death, the Queen cherished the necklace as a reminder of her father's love. The Queen's jewelry collection is impressive, with over 300 pieces. This includes 98 brooches, 46 necklaces, 37 bracelets, 34 pairs of earrings, 15 rings, 14 watches, and 5 pendants. Despite owning so many accessories, Queen Elizabeth was particularly fond of her three-strand pearl necklace. Throughout her life, she often wore these pearls, possibly to preserve the original set. Princess Catherine chose to wear the Queen's pearl necklace at a Buckingham Palace lunch for the Governors General of the Commonwealth nations before Queen Elizabeth's funeral in 2023. It seemed like a way for Catherine to honor the Queen's legacy. Another piece of jewelry that caused a lot of attention was the Lover's Knot tiara. This tiara was created in 1914 for Queen Mary, who had a different tiara melted down to make it. After her death, it was passed down to Queen Elizabeth, who lent it to Princess Diana as a wedding gift. Although Diana didn't wear it often due to its weight, it was one of her most cherished pieces. After her divorce from Charles, Diana had to return the tiara to Buckingham Palace. Princess Catherine's decision to wear the iconic Lover's Knot tiara at a Buckingham Palace event sparked a lot of attention. She was so fond of it that reports suggest she wore it over 9 times, and each time she felt a special connection to Princess Diana. The question remains, was she trying to send a message to Queen Camilla by wearing the tiara? And was Queen Camilla right to be upset about it? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Let this story remind us how the royal family, despite all their grandeur, deals with human emotions, relationships, and legacy. Whether it's through a cherished piece of jewelry or charity work, every decision they make carries deeper meaning.